Hi, this is Miss Hadi from Olympian High School. We've been learning about Chapter 34 from Traditions and Encounters about World War I. And we just finished talking about all of the causes of World War I. And now we're moving on to, so we talked about all the different nationalist aspirations and the rivalry and these inflexible alliances. And we also discussed these mutually threatening war plans. We've talked about public opinion. So we're going to pick up from here. And I started back on the slide so that you guys could remember that these war plans were really dependent on acting quickly. Remember, they were very much based on attack. They didn't think about defense and all the number of casualties there would be. It was based on quick, swift victories, was the idea. And it was very much dependent on the mobilization of enemy forces, meaning if you see your enemy is starting to, move and get ready for war, move their soldiers and their supplies, means you've got to get ready, or the goals that you have aren't going to be met. Especially, remember, Germany's big fear of being encircled. So the 28th of June is when Francis Ferdinand is assassinated, and we're going to see how things escalate very, very quickly. So obviously the Austro-Hungarian Empire is furious. They're determined to teach what they perceive as the unruly Serbs a lesson, and they link the assassination of Francis Ferdinand to an organization that was operating out of Serbia, a nearby Kingdom of Serbia, because there are Serbs. There's the Kingdom of Serbia, but there are Serbs that are not in Serbia. So kind of would be like if a San Diegan was living in LA, just so you guys understand, so you don't get too confused. Okay, so the Austro-Hungarian Empire they link the assassination to the Black Hand, this organization that is linked to his death, Francis Ferdinand's death. And they demand that the Kingdom of Serbia allow the Austro-Hungarians to do a number of things. And the Kingdom of Serbia says yes to everything, except one thing which infringes on its sovereignty. You can read about that in your book. But the point is, they send an ultimatum, and the Serbs say yes to everything except one thing. That's not enough for the Austrians. So the Austrians after issuing the ultimatum, they declare war on Serbia. This is a big deal. Well, now it could have just stopped right there. It could have been a conflict between the Kingdom of Serbia and Austria, but because of these inflexible diplomatic alliances, it's going to grow into and escalate into a big conflict. So Serbia had an alliance with Russia. Okay, so when the Austrians declared war on Serbia, the Russians were faced with a dilemma. All of their war plans are based on quick mobilization. So they start to get ready. Nicholas II is told by his advisors, if you don't move quickly, if this escalates, you'll lose in this war. You've got to move fast. So they mobilize to defend Serbia. So since Austria is in this pact with Germany, remember Germany and Italy, they're buddies. So when they see the Russians getting ready to defend Serbia and thereby their enemy, the Austrians, they issue an ultimatum. First one they issue is to the Russians, telling them to stop mobilizing. The Russians say impossible. Then they issue an ultimatum to France, wondering, are you going to go to war? What are you going to do? Because remember, Russia and France are part of the same entente, triple entente with the UK, and France never replies. So because of these complex timetables that are all very dependent on moving quickly, on the 1st of August, Germany declares war on Russia, waits 2 days, never hears from France, and then France starts to mobilize, and then they wait 2 days, and the Germans declare war on France. Because of the Schlieffen Plan, which says you have to act quickly, attack France first, because it's gonna take them less time to mobilize than Russia. So attack France first, and then turn around and attack Russia. So because of the Schlieffen Plan, they immediately have to attack France. But the way they attack France is through Belgium, a country called Belgium. Now, Belgium had signed a treaty in 1839 declaring its neutrality. And one of the signatories on that treaty was the UK, which is also what we're going to call Britain. So when Germany goes to attack France by entering through Belgium with its army, Britain comes to the defense of Belgium, and now we're in the middle of this crazy chain reaction where this small local conflict has escalated into a much larger war and involving all of these countries. And beyond that, it's going to involve the colonies of these countries. And beyond that, there are going to be other states that are not even in Europe that are going to get involved, like Japan and the United States. And many of these people will feel like, oh, this should be a quick war. It's going to be, and they might be excited. Some of them are afraid. They all think God is on their side.